Good morning. Thank you for being on the Magnificent Mamas Thrive show. I'm so excited for you to be my guest today because, well, let's face it, we have known each other for 10 years. Crazy
A
town.
decade of memories.
Isn't that great? I love it. I love having friends that I know so well for that long, because it's not just like we know each other, right?
Well, if you think about it, how many growth stages did we go through? So the person you met me 10 years ago has changed at least 4 times into who I am now. And there's still so much growth, but yes, you get to learn all the stories that make a person. And I'm just grateful that we've been on this journey for a decade.
And I love that you brought that up, because I think what the Thrive Show is all about, it's about achieving, accomplishing. It's taking the pain points of our very normal, real life and saying, what's the point of this pain? And let's make purpose out of it. But what you just said is you've changed like 4 times. And I think that's number one, very transparent of you to say, hey, I've changed. I've transformed, I've grown, I've evolved, and I'm still going. And I think that's the key thing, especially as a life coach. I used to think that you arrive someplace, and when you get there, you are there, and then life happens again, and holy crap, you have to transform and evolve and shift and change again, whether you like it or not, but you're going somewhere. And I think what you and I have known of your story and your transformations is that you grow a little, you expand. It's kind of like the snake, as much as I don't like snakes, right?
Either.
But they
It's too
grow
early
out of
for
their
that.
skin. They grow out of their skin. And then all of a sudden, they need to shed that skin because it doesn't fit anymore, because they've expanded and they've evolved. And as a human, that's a really great place to start, right? That's a great place to be. So let's start there. Tell us all about you, because I know all about you, but share with the Magnificent Mamas circle that who you are, and share with us how we can get to know you, and tell us more about your mushy gushy stories.
Oh my goodness. So first of all, thank you for this invitation. I'm Ania, born in Poland, raised in New Jersey, and now my family roots are in the Pocono Mountains, Pennsylvania. And my journey is always kind of really focused a lot on faith and realizing that there are some things we can control, some things we cannot, and a lot of growth. So when Elizabeth met me 10 years ago, I just started my, what then was home services company. All Service Concierge was built on helping families with childcare, housekeeping, pet sitting. And a lot of me 10 years ago was built around fear. And as we grew through my stages of fear, I became more confident. And then All Service grew, and right now it's fully a virtual business assistant company. So talk about a journey. It's not where we started off. I became a wine educator. I'm a wine consultant with One Hope Wines. I get to raise money for local nonprofits. So that was a different version that I just did not see coming. I'm a mama. I have a teenage son. He's 13. And really a lot that I do, and Elizabeth knows this, is I never wanted to choose between a career, contributing financially to my household, and my son. I love being a mama. So I built my life around that balance. And here I am, still a hot mess, but less of a hot mess than a decade ago. But a decade from now, I'll be a whole new me.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that you're stepping into the teenage years, and especially being only a couple of years ahead of you in that wisdom. I remember when Ryan went into kindergarten, and I was like even just holding space for you with the stress of putting your baby in kindergarten, and now he's a teenager.
It blink of an eye. It's a moment, right?
It truly is. But we also have to transform as those types of parents, because our parenting role changes also. So as much as you are involved and wanting that desire to be mama. Ania, Good morning. Thank you for
Good
being on
morning.
the Magnificent Mamas Thrive show. I'm so excited for you to be my guest today because, well, let's face it, we have known each other for 10 years.
A
Crazy
full
town.
decade of memories.
Isn't that great? I love it. I love having friends that that I know so well for that long because it's not just like we know each other. We know each other, right?
Well, if you think about it, how many growth stages did we go through? So the person you met me 10 years ago has changed at least 4 times into who I am now. And there's still so much growth. But yes, you get to learn all the stories that make a person. And I'm just grateful that we've been on this journey for a decade.
And I love that you brought that up because I think what the Thrive Show is all about, it's about achieving, accomplishing. It's taking the pain points of our very normal, real life and saying, what's the point of this pain? And let's make purpose out of it. But what you just said is you've changed like 4 times. And I think that's number one, very transparent of you to say, hey, I've changed. I've like transformed. I've grown. I've evolved. And I'm still going. And I think that's the key thing, especially as a life coach, I used to think that you arrive someplace. And when you get there, you are there. And then life happens again. And holy crap, you have to transform and evolve and shift and change again, whether you like it or not. But you're going somewhere. And I think what you and I have known of your story and your transformations is that you grow a little, you expand. It's kind of like the snake, as much as I don't like snakes, right?
Either.
But they
It's too
grow
early
out of
for
their
that.
skin. They grow out of their skin. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, they need to shed that skin because it doesn't fit anymore because they've expanded and they've evolved. And as a human, that's a really great place to start, right? That's a great place to be. So let's start there. Tell us all about you because I know all about you, but share with the Magnificent Mamas circle that who you are and share with us how we can get to know you and tell us more about your mushy gushy stories.
Oh my goodness. So first of all, thank you for this invitation. I'm Ania, born in Poland, raised in New Jersey, and now my family roots are in the Pocono Mountains, Pennsylvania. And my journey is always kind of really focused a lot on faith and realizing that there are some things we can control, some things we cannot, and a lot of growth. So when Elizabeth met me 10 years ago, I just started what then was home services company. All Service Concierge was built on helping families with childcare and housekeeping, pet sitting. And a lot of me 10 years ago was built around fear. And as we grew through my stages of fear, I became more confident. And then our service grew. And right now it's fully a virtual business assistant company. So talk about a journey. It's not where we started off. I became a wine educator. I'm a wine consultant with One Hope Wines. I get to raise money for local nonprofits. So that was a different version that I just did not see coming. I'm a mama. I have a teenage son. He's 13. And really a lot that I do, and Elizabeth knows this, is I never wanted to choose between a career, contributing financially to my household, and my son. I love being a mama. So I built my life around that balance. And here I am, still a hot mess, but less of a hot mess than a decade ago. But a decade from now, I'll be a whole new me.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that you're stepping into the teenage years and especially being only a couple years ahead of you in that wisdom. I remember when Ryan went into kindergarten and I was like even just holding space for you with the stress of putting your baby in kindergarten and now he's a teenager.
It blink of an eye. It's a moment, right?
It truly is. But we also have to transform as those types of parents because our parenting role changes also. So as much as you are involved and wanting that desire to be mama, they need us less, but they need us more emotionally. Like, they don't need us to tie their shoes. They do need us to remind them to brush their teeth. But they need us more on an emotional level, but a level or a step back from the hands-on. And it's really an interesting place to be.
Oh, it's a place of safety. I feel like when I look at Ryan, he wants a place of safety and an understanding, with enough wiggle room to make his own mistakes, but to know that he has a safe place. And that's a really interesting thing, because coming from Poland, our culture is not built around that. So it's interesting how we've created this family dynamic totally separate from how we were raised, which I am pretty proud of myself for that.
Yeah. Do you hear the child, the furry child?
I do. He's saying hello.
Let him in because he's going to bark. All right, so we'll see if we could do what we could do with that. Pause.
Oh, he's going to be, love me. I'm important.
He's such a sassy dog.
I love it.
And Mike left, so he couldn't even save me, Yeah, it's good. So, again, I think the fact of what we're just talking about is that sometimes we have no control over how others are, and whether it's our people or how life rolls and what comes our way. It's just about being equipped to handle and how we act or react to the situation. If we get thrown off, that's on us, right?
One of the best things I've ever done was walked through your door. So we've been working together for a decade now, and I like to call it my emotional toolbox. But the tools that I learned to adjust and put into my life when I need it brings me calm. So no matter what, I know that there's something in there. I just have to refresh my brain, but I have learned something that will help me get through. It's not something I feel like that we're born with. It's a learned skill. So I feel that having someone like yourself that you build a relationship with and you are able to grow, it's a blessing. And I wish everyone had someone like Elizabeth in their life for growth, because it gives you calmness, it gives you direction, especially most of the time we don't know which way to go, right? We're stuck and we feel pulled in so many directions, and you realize that you don't have to have all the answers, but you need to find it within yourself to have the confidence to just take that step forward. And I didn't have that 10 years ago.
I love you for saying that. And that is not why I have you on the show. However, that was an awesome plug. Thank you.
Well, it's part of growth. And there's no way I would have been able to overcome what I've overcome for the past 10 years without learning those skill sets that we all think, like everyone thinks everyone's a natural leader or not. No, those are learned traits that you have to practice, and that you don't just do it once. So like you said, you've come and you're done. No, you have to continue practicing, because there are rainy Fridays and you just want to spend the whole day in bed.
Yeah, and that's true. And again, it's about lifting yourself up and having what I call a GPS system to figure out your internal desires of what it is that you want for your life, for that moment, for that matter. It's not even like for the day or for the year or for whatever. It's like that moment. How do you want to be? How do you want to act or react to this situation? Because you have choice. Right? You don't have a choice on how the world is turning out or what's going on, but you have a choice on how you're going to act or react to that. And that makes all the difference, because it's the difference between being happy and joyful and feeling good and safe and secure within your home and your being and your body and your family, or feeling very insecure and vulnerable to everybody else's jurisdiction or life or plans. So I always go back to, like, you have the wisdom within you if you start to seek the tools you find what's necessary. And I love that you have that big toolbox, because it's so important. And one tool today might not work for tomorrow. So it needs to be vast and a large variety of different things, whether it be woo-woo or something as simple as like a nice cup of tea sitting out by your Christmas tree, right? Well, that's
Yes.
even a rhyme. But yeah, like it's a matter of what you need, and knowing that you need something to nourish your soul. And when you nourish your soul says thank you, right? And then it
Oh
gets
my
you back
gosh.
in alignment.
And when you experience it and you grow, you realize it's for me, it was easier to live in fear, but it felt so heavy and so dark and negative. And then when I did that growth and faced those difficult things within me and how I was raised, um, oh my gosh, I did the hard work, and then you can breathe. And then life became just so much more enjoyable. I was then living for my whole life versus just out of fear for that moment. It was the most life-changing part of my decade. And I think it showcases that you have to focus on what you can control. And especially this year, oh my gosh, we all struggle, and we're quick to blame others, and we're quick to be angry with each other. But if we just come to the understanding that every household has been affected, every family has a whole different routine, we're all in this together, and we really can't change a global situation because we want to, but we can like change our household and take care of those that we love. It frees you from that fear that you have to do everything for your family and you want to protect them. But we're limited in what we can do, but we can protect them at home and make them feel loved.
Right. And I love that you're saying that, because you know that I teach like the chakra system and that first root. When we're safe, when we feel safe at home, that's what determines how we feel and react and act out in the world even later. So what you're providing for yourself and for your husband and for your son is that really safe space and a comfort zone, so they know and you know that there is a place that we can go that feels really safe and secure. And I think in this pandemic, that's what we really need to go step back into, that safety space to say, it's okay, the world might be a little chaotic right now, but we have this really safe, fun environment. And I know you just celebrated 5 days of your son turning 13, which I think is so fantastic, because you turned something that could have been really such a bummer because you couldn't have a party, blah, 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 but you turned it into something really fun for him. And that's what he's going to remember. And it's going to feel really good, instead of, oh, remember 2020? It was crazy, right? It was so bad. But we turned a lot of bad things into good. And so, again, you roll with it, right?
I think some of the best family traditions might be coming out of this year. I know for us, we don't go out to eat to restaurants as a family, but I'll tell you one thing. Every week, my mother comes over, my mother-in-law, she comes over, and we have Joe's Java, Joe's the chef, and we have a restaurant at our home. And it's become such a thing that we look forward every week, and we don't miss what we thought we would. And we've just made a new, and it took a little bit of, getting creative and stepping outside and trying to create something fun in this weird time. But it's so much fun, and we're not giving it up. This is going to be our weekly thing for as long as we can.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that's also going into that flow, that flow pillar of saying, let's create something new because of what we used to do and we can't. Instead of, yes, you have to kind of go through that mourning stage of like, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm frustrated. Okay, but what's next? And that rising up and going, okay, we're going to just flow with whatever comes next, and whatever desires roll into us. And now you have this new thing, and it's a fun tradition. And it also creates a bonding, which is amazing.
Yes. And I just want to say, like, it wasn't easy. And it wasn't like, you just wake up and here it is. It takes work. It took family commitment. It took, no matter how difficult our week is, to commit to it and stick with it. But it did force us, like, we've had some of the most amazing family conversations, and we've grew so much as a family. And we always beat Joe in board games. That's Ryan and I thing. We buddy up against him. Don't tell him.
No, we'll let him think he's a winner. No matter what it is, he's still a winner, right? So tell me some of the strategies. I know that you have worked really hard on. You have a lot in the air, like you've got a lot of businesses and you've got a lot of things going on, and you've kind of combined several different thought philosophies and your businesses together. So share with us what you have, and then tell us like how that busy mom keeps it all happening and still looks very well put together.
Oh, is that a thing?
And by the way, we're recording this early in the morning for Ania. Like, she used to never be up before 10. So it is 9 a.m. East Coast time.
Hence, I'm sipping on my coffee.
That's okay.
And my coffee mug says this is probably wine, but not at 9 a.m. It's definitely coffee. You're right. So I think this year, it evened out the playing field for everyone. No matter if you're a business owner, no matter if you're corporate America, no matter if you're a stay-at-home mom, we are all overworked, overstressed. Our days are just like a blurb. You're trying to be a teacher for your child. You're trying to, like, my cafeteria is going to open shortly for requests for food. Then, this, it's just a lot. What I found first is I don't try. So, for instance, with all of the companies that we have, we try to do the same thing for them on the same day. So, for instance, blocking out your office hours. I mean, that is one of the biggest things that Elizabeth was always telling me, like, I need to just put it on the calendar. It will get done. But for instance, on Mondays is my marketing day, and I do marketing for every single company or every single thing that we do. The mindset is already there. And, I work one thing at a time. So I spend an hour at each company, but I don't have to start thinking, because if you're going from marketing to accounting to, social media, it's a different way of thinking. Mm-hmm. So that would be tip number one, is just do the same thing every week on the same day. It will become part of your routine, and it will get done.
And I love that. Get done. Especially there's two things. One, women think they pride themselves on being multitaskers. And, I've studied human behaviors for years, and the statistics and the studies show that although we think we're good at multitasking, we're really not that efficient. So by keeping one thing on that specific day, doing that thing, and like you said, an hour per company that you're going to do the marketing, you've created it in your brain to say, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm only doing that. I'm going to turn off all other notifications. But it helps you from feeling like that chaos of what goes on in your body, and also the mind. The mind gets so jumpy that we can't really completely focus, but we get so much more done if we just, what I call that hour of power, just do that one thing, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And so that brings me to the other one, because we all have things that we need to do that maybe we don't want to. If you're growing your business, it might be that scary thing, picking up the phone call and calling someone. It could be that uncomfortable thing, having a conversation with a customer or with a team member, or cleaning. So depending on what it is and what your life is, we have these things that need to get done, but it's either you're scared of it, fear's holding us back, and we keep pushing aside. And then what does that do? That sets the tone for the day. You keep, I have to do this. And it's heavy, and it keeps knocking at your, in your mind and saying, I'm still here. I always say, do it the first thing. I like to do it before lunch, because then you will see it. If you get used to doing those things within the first 2-3 hours of your day, you will breathe, you'll stand, like you will feel it. And you might not notice the first couple of times, but you will definitely start noticing. You walk a little lighter and your day is a little brighter, and it sounds stupid, I know, but it works.
No,
It
you feel
works. It frees
accomplished.
you.
You totally feel accomplished. There's a book I read probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, called Eat the Frog.
Yes.
And it was all about that. Like, eat that one thing that you so don't want to do. It's your scary thing. It's the chore that just makes you feel the most uncomfortable. You do that first and you're golden.
And with that too, because we worked on this so much. So I love my to-do lists. I live with my lists. I rewrite them, create them. And what I noticed, there were a few things that I kept always putting and not getting to it. And I eventually freed myself from those tasks. I realized, well, if I didn't finish it for 4 months, the chances are, were they that important? And I thought they were important. I put big value on them. But when I look back and when I just removed them from the list, I opened up the space for the universe to plant things that were going to move me in the right direction. I realized that those things that I thought were so important were not aligned maybe with my values or the vision I had for my company. So also you have to be comfortable in giving yourself the freedom to change that direction and to realize that maybe there's a reason why they're not getting done, and think about what it could be.
Yeah. And also, oftentimes I say it emotionally drains you. So if it's on your to-do list and you keep seeing it and you keep putting it on to the next to-do list, and it's actually taking from you. I say it rents space in your brain, but it's not paying rent. And so the key thing is to get rid of it. I say park it, put it in, I'm going to do this maybe a year from now. I'll readdress it in my next year's plan. That way then it emotionally removes it from your body, so it frees up space. And when we feel freer in our body, we actually follow through with so many more things, because you're not lugging around that emotional baggage of what you didn't get done. And that little chatter in your brain says, you didn't accomplish all those things on your list. And especially you as a task maker, like, you love to click off. I'm like that too. I got my list and I love to I make a box and I check it off. I literally write it down. I know there's so many apps for that, but I like to write it down.
Yeah, me
I know
too.
You're the same way, right?
And then it feels good when you finish it and then you just throw it out. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite part.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea. I kind of have one of those big, it's a long skinny notebook, and but I turn the page. I really should just throw it out.
Yeah, it feels very cleansing for me.
Yeah, good idea. Thanks for that tip. It's awesome. So, okay, what else do you have for us? I know that you are homeschooling, and there's some crazy feelings around homeschooling, and you shared with us that you love being a mama, and you create your business around the idea of, we're going to work as mom and then mompreneur, and then there's mom time. But you didn't say, I was going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a homeschool teacher.
And I am not a good teacher, except I found out that I can actually figure out 7th grade math and science. And, Ryan and I grew together a lot this year because we do his school. We have a routine. He took over my office. He took over my computer. But he's learning, what I love is he's learning the work skills that maybe we learned in college. He has his office space. He has his time dedicated. And he has, I'm almost his manager. So he checks in with me in the morning and in the afternoon, and we review everything. I used to break down my tasks into a week, into a day. Now I break down my day into hours and even minutes. So there'll be times when I'm sitting there with him and guiding, and I'll have 5 or 7 minutes of just me sitting there watching him or just being there for questions. I know what I can do in those 5 minutes. That has helped me. My whole 2020 and all my businesses are really built on 5 minutes at a time, which I would have never advised anyone to do. But the first few months, I was so overwhelmed because I was used to, okay, I sit in front of my computer for 2.5 hours and I get things done. And that was my mindset. That's how I worked. And then he's home, and that is no longer ability. So I had to adjust. So I broke everything down into even smaller tasks. The reason I have it on paper is because I carry it with me. Wherever he goes, I go. And then I take my laptop. My office is movable, but legit 5 minutes at a time. And I've had the most successful year in sales from my wine consulting side. And that's been built 5 minutes at a time. So you can break, if you think you can't break it down any smaller, you can. And then it's not overwhelming. So if before my goal was maybe to follow up with 20 people a day, my goal is to follow up with 2 people an hour. I can do that.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that it's something that you're actually doing. It's not like you're just saying that you could do it. You are truly doing it. So 5 minutes, anybody could do anything for 5 minutes. And you know what I love about that, especially because I'm like this workout chick. I won't even call myself a workout queen, but I do work out every day. And I know that it's that time that makes me feel so much more successful, empowered, clarity, like all of the things, because as much as I hate to work out, I know it's 30 minutes. And I know that the impact on that 30 minutes is going to take me through my whole day. So what you're saying is even bring it down to like 5 minutes. Anybody could do anything for 5 minutes, even if you don't like it, but you attach yourself to the end result, like that you did it. Not that even like you contacted them, that you just connected or said you were going to call or follow through with 2 people in 5 minutes. Got this.
And you know what also? So when we're talking about I love being a mama, and that was my priority, I treat his school as a job. That's his job. So when he comes to me frustrated in the middle of a science project, I don't feel the guilt when I say to him, I'm going to be able to help you 5-10 minutes, whatever it is that I'm working. But in my previous arrangement, it would have been a 2-hour. All right, Brian, I will be available at noon. And that just stops him, and it's not that supportive. So I like the fact that I'm taking away my guilt of not being present, but I also still don't have to choose, I'm going to just stop work altogether. He can wait 5-10 minutes. He'll go have a snack or something. So it has definitely helped me to free myself from all those emotions that we're probably all feeling, of trying to do it all. And there's no way you can do it all. There are days when we're at school till 6 o'clock because it was a tough day, but we get it done. And if it doesn't, we figure it out. So I think we just all need to give ourselves a whole pass for 2020 and just focus on growth and focusing on, oh my gosh, systems. I mean, that's something that you keep telling me over and over. If you're doing things weekly, have a system for it, because then a half an hour email is now only a 2-minute email. So that's a big, powerful resource that you can always apply to anything in your house and your job and your motherism and your marriage. And
Yes, I totally love it. And I like the idea to even add on that, like creating the systems, but having the partners. So like in our household, I call my home, my family life, a partnership. So it's not just me and Michael being a partner, but the boys are also partners in this corporation or in this organization, let's just call it. So they have their partnership roles, and maybe Chase is 6, so he doesn't have the same thing as Jake because he's 15, because he can't carry as heavy bags in from the car, but we all play a role, and we all have a partnership, and we all have to know what we need in this partnership to make it successful. And successful means to us is like feeling good, connecting with one another, having respect for one another and one another's time, and just really valuing how we have our home and how we live in our home and what feels good in our home. And that is very similar to like what you're saying about the system. That's how we have our family life as a system, but it's a partnership, and everybody has an investment in the partnership.
that is so powerful. And it feels very balanced, right? It feels grounded. It gives a direction. I love this. And I know that that took some thinking,
Oh yeah.
and that it wasn't, you had to like sit down, think, have conversations. So all of these growth things are not just going to happen overnight, but when you stick with it, there's going to be so much clarity. And I think at the end of it, we just want peace, harmony. And this is where I laugh, because that's what my mother-in-law always wanted for Christmas. And now I am her.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm like, that is all I want. And a little bit of the ocean. Give me the ocean air and
No, so you
sunshine.
need to move down to Delaware with us. We could have that.
Yeah. But putting in that work and maybe having those conversations, and because you have to stretch them. So when I try to convince my two men in the house that it's a great idea, it's like trying, like you're having a whole negotiation, and you have to sell them on the idea of why it is a good idea while making them think it's their idea.
Yeah.
So, but then when you do it, you have this plan in action, and it just simplifies things.
Well, and when you look at it, you know that number one, it's a continuous reminder, and even like businesses all need that. I need to reevaluate my mission statement, or they all need to take that time to just say, whether you're a business, a solopreneur, or with a team, or a huge corporation, you need to reevaluate your goals, your desires, your systems every 90 days, 6 months, whatever it is. But it takes the time, and you need to keep people on that same partnership or on that same mission in alignment with the desire, because at the end of the day, we're all really looking to accomplish a feeling, and the feeling turns into action, and the action turns into, in business, money. It turns into experiences, it turns into desires, it turns into like what you want to be around, what you want to become. And it just starts with a one little small system, but we need to be reminded. And so that's the key thing, is just like talking about it. Well, you'll get it with a teenager. You have to tell them like 80 times to do something. And I even say, I get it. I know I'm here just to tell you a million times to brush your teeth.
Yep. And also, I think, like, as moms, it's to realize that some battles we don't have to win. They will figure out themselves. So I definitely choose my what I notice or tell him I notice, just because there's some things that are maybe not that important in a big thing, or his consequences, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
I will guide him, but if he doesn't do his homework, it's not me.
Right.
It's him. He's a teenager. So I think also realizing that you don't have to be all of that, and we're told we have to, and especially as moms, if your child does something, they're like, oh, it's a reflection of you. No, it's not. And especially the older they get, it's their choice, and how beautiful it is that they get to have a choice. But free yourself from attaching yourself to the consequence of their choice.
Yes, I say that all the time. I keep saying, reminding myself, I am not him. He is not me. I am not here to live his life for him. He's here to teach me a ton. I'm like, that kid is teaching me a shit ton about myself. However, I have to detach from what I think is the best way. And that's hard. That's really, really hard, because that's your baby. Those are your children, and you want so much for them to have this amazing life, but you have to put it into perspective that they have to learn just like you and I both learned. And sometimes it's hard learning, but you're there to hold them and catch them when they fall or when they're struggling.
Yeah. And then realizing, like, I like to be right. And I thought that my way is the right way. And his brain works totally different. I'm a writer. So for me, like, rewriting the definitions and doing flashcards, that's how I learned. And the best thing I said this year to him was, I don't know how your brain works. You have to figure out. Flashcards might not be your thing. And his brain is not a flashcard brain. And I had to be okay with it. It took me a while, because I was like, no, this is how you do it. This is how they told me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work for him. And why would I have that fight with him where he's an honor roll student without having to do flashcards? Good for him.
Right, exactly. And I love that you're figuring that out. Like, because it's true. You're giving him the power to figure out his own brain, because it's within him. It's not yours. And so therefore you're not going to be able to think for him. He needs to think with his own brain and figure out how he rolls and how he does things. So you're empowering him in that way, which is amazing. And he's learning that he needs to take responsibility for how he works, right? And that's where, as a mama, I think that's a key thing is, again, you're freeing yourself up from that large responsibility personally as a mom. But then also for your children, for your son, you're teaching him to take responsibility for himself. And he has the wisdom to figure that out. And so there it is. You lose the whole responsibility. Yes, you're there to guide him. You're there to help him put it in his GPS system, but you don't have to make him do anything, right? He's got to do it.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. Ania, you have given us so many pearls of wisdom. I love that you have shared like different aspects of being a mompreneur, 2020 COVID crazy, right? And a homeschool mom who didn't ever really desire to be a homeschool mom, but how you're doing it all, and you are accomplishing and achieving so much. And I know that you've got plans on the horizon, and you've actually birthed like this whole new idea, which is super cool. And yeah, we just want to keep following you. I know you're like the wine chick, and you got lots of wise things to share with us about wine and all kinds of stuff. So tell us where we can find you, because you've got a few different channels. Let us know where we can find you, and I will also put them in the show notes. So wherever you lead us, I'll make sure that they're in the show notes in case somebody doesn't get them. So tell us.
I am definitely a Facebook girl. So if you're on social media and you're on Facebook, please friend me. I look forward to growing my network and just helping each other. I come from the belief of you help somebody else, the universe is watching. So I would love to follow your journey. Ania Fiduccia is Ania Masiak Fiduccia is what you will find me under on Facebook. And my profile is public, so you can definitely check me out first to make sure I'm a real person. And then also for wine, if you look up Grown Up Study Hall, that is our page for the wine education and wine consulting. And All Service Concierge is my business assistant virtual company.
Awesome. In today's world, we all could use a little virtual assistant these days, right?
Oh yes, especially that digital footprint is so important.
Yes, definitely. Well, I feel empowered, inspired, encouraged to get more done today because of my conversation with you. I feel like, all right, like just a refresh. What a great way to start my day. So thank you so much for spending time with me this morning on the Magnificent Mama Thrive Show. You are my magnificent mama. And I love you so much. Thank you
for having me. Truly grateful.
You too. Have a great day.
You too.